I've got a few more questions from my extensive list sent to me by my friend Bob, a couple of others as well. So we're going to dive straight in, and I really like this first question. I'm going to deal with 5 questions today. Number 1, how do we dismantle the consumer story? When we talk about sustainability, it's so easy to blame somebody else, to blame those people who put plastic onto the planet, blame those people who dig oil out of the ground, to blame those people who've got more kids, to blame anybody but ourselves. Fundamentally, the collapse of the planet is a consumer story, number 1. Number 2, the consumer story that I think we're talking about here is the myth that by consuming we shore up our being, that by consuming we become more happy, more powerful, more inspirational. None of that's true. By being truly at one with ourselves, we become more happy, more inspirational, and frankly, more joyful. So we dismantle the consumer story by unzipping happiness and joy with the ownership of goods. And that's a really long journey. But do you know what? It's happening. If you talked about yoga and meditation in the 70s, relatively few people did it. If you talked about yoga and meditation in the 80s, no. To find yourself in the 80s, you had to get on a plane, go to Thailand, read Alex Garland, sit on a beach listening to Pure Shores, and come back and you found yourself. To find yourself now, you go inwards. And that is the beginning of the great unzipping of the consumer story. Question 1. Question 2. Tell me something about bees. Yes, bees are amazing. We've got lots of masonry bees around here. They live in little holes in the wall. They're incredible. They don't make honey, but they do a lot of good. Now, the thing I like about bees is the waggle dance. A bee will go out, forage, find a patch of, I don't know, flowers that are in flower, bring the pollen back, get so excited and tell all the other bees where it is. And the bee tells the direction and it tells the distance. Direction is by trajectory and distance is by amplitude and number of waggles. That's magical, utterly magical. Straight on to the next one, it flows. Why doesn't England produce any organic honey? Well, I didn't know this, so I had to look at this. And it makes perfect sense. To be classed as organic, you need a 5 to 8 miles, so a minimum of a 5-mile radius around a hive. A 5-mile radius with no artificial chemicals. No factories, no roads, no houses, no nothing. And there is not a 5-mile radius in England that fulfills that requirement. That is utterly terrifying. And then, what is a green recovery? Look, the green recovery is often mooted as the solution to our problems when it comes to a recession, our problems when it comes to COVID, our problems when it comes to the post-Fordist deindustrialization of Europe. Yes, that's happened. It's happened. A green recovery is placing sustainability and the planet's needs at the heart of innovation and enterprise. And by focusing business on it in a better way, we recover and we do more good. That's what the green recovery is. And the last question is really hard. This one came in over Instagram. And that is a really simple question. Is there any point? Is there any point in us doing anything? And the answer to this is yeah. Systemically, the way the world moves, the way that carbon's managed, our individual actions can sometimes feel futile, and maybe they are. But if we don't do anything, we feel alone and we feel despondent. So if we try and do something and we tell others what we're doing, not in a green cocking kind of way, but in a, hey, let's just start, shall we? Then maybe we'll coalesce and we'll come together. And look, I've been doing this for 32 years. When I started, my father-in-law called me a save the world type. Now he does what I do. Everything's changing. It's imperceptible. It's like watching a glacier pass your front window. It's imperceptible. But things are beginning to gather pace. Maybe too late. May not be enough. I like to think it's not too late, because what would the alternative be? So, whatever you do, don't fight people. The risk we face right now is friendly fire. It's the vegans versus the meat eaters. It's the regenerative agriculturists versus the intensive farmers, the vertical growers. It's those that are concerned about plastic versus those that are concerned about climate change. Look, the single biggest threat to the planet, to the oceans, is climate change by miles. The second biggest threat to the oceans, overfishing. Third biggest threat to the oceans is ocean debris. The biggest part of ocean debris is water runoff from land, agricultural runoff, mainly animal agricultural runoff, into the oceans. And then it's fishing nets. And then it's consumer plastic. It really matters, but it's relatively small. We need to solve it. It's a problem. But if we're not careful, we'll die in a ditch for that, and we'll have another issue over here. So, is there any point? Yep. We need to talk to one another. We need to work together, and we need to do anything, and we need to celebrate whatever we do.